This week's episode of Chrisley Knows Best shows Chase Chrisley with a broken foot. Fans of the USA reality TV family who saw the preview but haven't seen the episode wonder how it happened. How exactly did Chase Chrisley break his foot? Fortunately, the details of how the accident happened were covered during this week's episode. If you missed it, keep reading for the details. The details of how Chase Chrisley broke his foot were revealed during this week's episode of Chrisley Knows Best. During the episode, fans watch as Todd helps his son to the car. Todd really seemed to be struggling as Chase put most of his weight on his father. Todd calls Julie asking where the car is. Julie noted they were close. Chase admits he can probably make it the rest of the way. He pulls away from his father and proceeds to walk perfectly normal minus the limp because of his boot. Unsurprisingly, Todd is annoyed his son tricked him. The episode cuts to Savannah and her brother Chase sitting on the couch during a confessional with the camera. Chase explains that he was dumbfounded. He could not believe he broke his foot while playing basketball. He explained that he wasn't even doing anything crazy. Turns out, he just jumped and landed on his foot wrong, causing it to break. Savannah Chrisley jested, "That is just what happens when you get old." Chase Chrisley rolled his eyes at his little sister, noting there was only a year age difference between them. Fans will recall it wasn't that long ago that Todd had a similar injury. Fans remember Todd wheeling himself down the aisle in a wheelchair as he tried to control Nick and Savannah's wedding details before they ultimately decided to pull the plug on their wedding and then their relationship. The topic came up because Chase reminded the family that Julie took care of Todd when he was injured. So Chase expected his mother to give him the very same treatment. Now, Chrisley Knows Best fans know there is a time gap between when the episode aired and when it was filmed. So Chase Chrisley has completely healed from that injury and no longer has a broken foot. Are you surprised to learn how Chase Chrisley ended up breaking his foot? Do you think he should be more careful? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. And keep coming back for the latest on the Chrisley family. Sunrise brought little forewarning. Chase had risen early, energized, determined to conquer a morning workout. The sky was crisp, the dew still glimmering across manicured lawns, and his energy high. A new regimen: running drills, resistance training, agility exercises. Each repetition fueled the endorphin rush that carried him forward. By mid-morning, he moved to a custom backyard obstacle course he had fashioned from old barrels, rope swings, and wooden planks. His goal: to elevate core strength and agility. The planks wobbled with each step. Without warning, his foot twisted awkwardly on a narrow edge. A loud, sharp crack heralded instant agony. His body froze. A hush fell too. Anatomy of the injury: the largest and strongest of foot bones, the metatarsals, bear the brunt of dynamic movement. In Chase's case, the fifth metatarsal had snapped under sheer force, the break clean but severe. Ligaments and tendons frayed. Bruising bloomed across the skin. Swelling rose in a dull crescendo. Crutches became his immediate companions. Cardboard boxes, once lifted for decoration, now repositioned beneath his kitchen counter for support. Pain remapped space, making steps feel like uncharted territory. Instinctively, he tended to the damage. Ice packs, elevation, consultations with orthopedists. 3. Immobilization and trial so walking boot replaced his sneakers. Its bulky silhouette a constant, heavy reminder of fragility. With each footfall, hinges hissed. The boot supported recovery but transformed every corridor into a gauntlet. Car rides turned complicated maneuvers of seat adjustments. Sleep came only in fits, one side of the bed abandoned. Failing to sit still for long, Chase turned to physical therapy. Under the guidance of a watchful therapist, he embarked on braces and bands, gentle stretches, ankle rotations. Each movement was negotiated carefully, tension wavering between cautious progress and fear of setback. 4. Invisible strain and emotional ripples beyond physical pain. Emotional turbulence burgeoned. He was sidelined from daily workout routines and sidelined from the kinetic rhythm he'd come to rely on. The frustration was cumulative. Watching routines slip, the reflection in the mirror lose its earlier certainty. Plans became caution-wrapped, downtime bound by warnings. A restlessness unfolded, days confined to couch or recliner. Books and streaming platforms piled up. Each page turned, each episode watched, was shadowed by a longing for strength regained. But within the stillness, determination simmered. 5. Building back strength. Weeks passed. Swelling faded. Scar tissue knitted. Dulled into dull stitches of pain. Physical therapy progressed from passive stretches to resistance bands, from seated exercises to partial weight bearing. Water exercises entered the routine. Aqua jogging. Leg extensions beneath the surface. In the pool, buoyant, unseen weight became therapy. He rediscovered breath within movement. His foot slowly reacclimatized to resistance. Pain gave way to prickle. Each tiny milestone, standing unsupported, walking 10 consecutive steps, registered like a triumph. 6. Psychology of persistence or resilience is seldom visible in victory alone. It shows up in the quiet endurance of daily repetition. Icing, balancing, trying again. Chase's routine became ritualized. Morning icing, afternoon elevation, evening therapy logs. Diligence hinged on habit. He practiced mindfulness to quell the irritability of immobility. Meditation sessions, guided breathing, journaling, strategies for emotional balance. Each release of frustration turned into a measure of progress. Physically stronger, mentally steadier. 7. Returning to motion after 6 weeks, the walking boot was retired. A supportive brace took its place. The translucence of fresh mobility, walking without agony. Every unassisted step was a small renaissance. He began jogging loops through landscaped streets, then curves around sidewalks edged with magnolia trees. No longer obstacles, now celebrations. He added agility drills on turf, ladders, swift pivots, bounds. The foot protested briefly, ache returning in waves, but subsided with rest and consistent therapy. Bungee cords and jump ropes re-entered the routine. His body relearned synchronization. Without dialogue, muscles spoke in sweat and stretch. 8. Preventive wisdom and reflection. By the time he fully returned to his stride, Chase carried not just resilience but information. He understood that the immediate cause, a precarious step off a moving plank, was preventable. Spotting imperfections in homemade courses, elevating plank ends, cushioning edges, simple adjustments with large payoff. He recognized fatigue's role. His muscles, warmed by rigorous cardio, had dulled his spatial judgment. The combination of adrenaline-fueled intensity and worn equipment precipitated the misstep. Lessons etched deep. Warm up thoroughly before dynamic movement. Stabilize equipment. Test balance before high-intensity heat, early strain or discomfort. Pause. Integrate rest into intense training cycles. 9. Redemption in action. Months from the break, Chase stood at the base of his obstacle course. Wooden planks had been replaced with sturdier composite boards. Swaying ropes hung with foam grips. Turf underfoot cushioned landings. He moved swiftly now, no hesitation in each pivot, each bound. His broken foot had transformed into a source of insight, not shame. He nailed precision moves, vaults, balance holds, drops with soft landings. At the course's apex, a vantage point framed sunlight across greenery. The snap of broken bone felt like distant thunder now. Echo, not reality. His body remembered pain, but dominion had returned him. Epilogue. Imperfection into strength. In hard stories of pain, there lives the potential for impact. Chase's broken foot reshaped his approach to training, recovery, and gratitude. No speech echoed through the halls of memory, just the internal dialogue of impulse and consequence. Each step thereafter carried gravity, intention, and cautious joy. The journey from snap to stride took discipline and patience. It demanded that the accident be acknowledged, understood, and then translated into something greater. From that fracture emerged strength, not only of bone, but of character. The air was sharp that morning, unseasonably cool for Nashville in early spring. Pale light slid through the half-drawn curtains of the Chrisley home. casting long shadows across the polished hardwood floors. It was one of those days that seemed charged with promise, the kind Chase Chrisley usually welcomed with open arms and a restless energy. But this particular day, unbeknownst to him, would end with a bone fracture that altered not just his physical movement, but also his perspective on risk, recovery, and resilience. The morning began routinely. Chase, who'd recently committed himself to a more rigorous fitness lifestyle, had planned a high-intensity circuit workout in his backyard. He'd been dabbling in calisthenics lately, using minimal equipment and relying on body weight to achieve maximum results. The garden behind the family home had slowly evolved into his own personal training ground. Pull-up bars between trees, balance beams crafted from timber planks, makeshift hurdles built from gym benches and cinder blocks. It was a setup that suited Chase's taste for challenge and movement. He wasn't content to grind out monotonous reps inside a sterile gym. His workouts demanded flair and complexity, controlled chaos.